Hollywood Brown is officially a Kansas City Chief, but is there more moves still to be made for Brett Veach and KC? Well, that's what we're going to talk about here, bringing up the last available free agents. Who could fit the Chiefs? We'll tell you all right here on the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. I appreciate you watching. I'm your host, Jace Andrews, and on today's show, well, exactly that. We're going to give you the top free agents left for the Kansas City Chiefs and who I think they could potentially sign, as their needs are still definitely there. Before we get into that, though, make sure you hit that subscribe button, guys, because we are on the road to 54,000, and I want to prove my bosses wrong, because I'll tell you what, they told me right after the Super Bowl, we think the Chiefs Report could get to 56,000. Maybe. I told them, screw that. We're getting to 60 before week 1 of the NFL season. So hit that subscribe button. We're going to 54 right now, and then we'll be on our way to 60. So if you're not subscribed, you ain't alive. We got amazing coverage of the Chiefs all year long. So you see it flashing down there, youtube.com/ChiefsTV. Join us today. Let's talk team needs for Kansas City, because it's very important to address these as both free agency still continues on and the NFL draft. The glaring issue to me, and maybe not as big of an issue, but depth-wise, is running back. I still feel like they need to do something. If that's re-signing McKinnon or Clyde Edwards-Helaire, that's great. But you have to do something with just Isaiah Pacheco and P. Ryan on the roster. Deneric Prince is still here as well, but I don't really want my top 3 to be those guys. Left tackle, again, still a question mark. Wanya Morris is slated to be the starter. Do the Chiefs trust him? Do they want a more of a veteran presence? Are they going to re-sign Donovan Smith? A lot of questions. And then cornerback and safety are lesser issues. I go more there for depth just because Justin Reed is continuing to increase in age, and L'Jarius Sneed could not be a Chief next year, or we don't really know. I still believe he's going to play on his franchise tag, but I want to have the depth piece there just in case something does happen. And the last one, I haven't talked about it much, backup QB. Mentioned Drew Lock as an option. Obviously, he is now with the New York Football Giants. What's next? How do they go? They don't have anybody besides Patrick Mahomes, Chris Leduc, and Ian Book on the roster, and those guys do not sound like backups to me. Let's start with running back, though, because, again, I feel like that's the first glaring issue that the Chiefs need to address, because, simply put, they don't really have anybody on their roster that I trust behind Isaiah Pacheco. Last year, it was a 3-man mix that I would argue is one of the better Chiefs running back depth charts in the past 20 years, and probably one of the best NFL depth charts for running backs last year. But unfortunately, 2 of those guys on the depth chart, well, they're free agents right now. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the former first-round draft pick, with the LSU Tigers back in 2019. We all know how that team did. And then Jerick McKinnon, who's getting up there in age, but still continues to produce at a pretty alarming rate. Pretty crazy what he's been able to do as he still gets older. But I would still love to honestly re-sign at least one of them. I know that there's an option to draft a running back in the later rounds, and I still think that may be a good option. But I would like McKinnon or Clyde Edwards-Helaire back. Now, which one would I like? That's where I start to kind of maybe split hairs, because Jerick McKinnon brings a lot to the team. I think the first thing that he brings over Clyde Edwards-Helaire is his receiving bonus. And that's not to say that Clyde can't be a receiving back. I just feel that Jerick McKinnon is a better receiving back. We've seen him really pop off, especially in 2022, where Clyde Edwards-Helaire went down. Isaiah Pacheco was a rookie. Guess who stepped up? McKinnon. 512 receiving yards, 10 touchdowns. The guy was a menace. But the thing is, Clyde Edwards-Helaire still has a lot of prowess as well. But I don't know if I'm ready to give up on him just yet. Because his rookie year was honestly a solid start. Played in just 13 games. Had over 800 yards and 4 touchdowns. That was going to be, all right, we see him. He's going to get better and better each year. But then guess what? We just weren't able to fully see him get better as the years goes on. He saw his yardage go down every single year until this last year where he only had 1 touchdown on the ground on 70 carries. I say all this to kind of bring up the same point that I have had the entire offseason. Clyde Edwards-Helaire still has some upside, in my opinion, and he's young. So that's why you could potentially take him. Jerick McKinnon, I think, is the better overall back in terms of receiving and being able to be a third down back. So that's why you take him. But you probably only want to choose one. So you're going to choose the age of Jerick McKinnon, where he is 32 years old almost, or are you going to take the younger Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who hasn't been able to produce as much, and you kind of know what you're going to expect from McKinnon, Clyde is somewhat of an open book. We don't really know what's going to happen just yet. With that, though, if you re-sign one of them, you don't, whatever, I still think it's worth it to take a look at the running backs in the free agency market because, honestly, all four of these guys sound intriguing to me. Now, you know what my affinity is with J.K. Dobbins. I've talked about him before. But Cam Akers, Ezekiel Elliott, and Cordarrelle Patterson are all great options as well. The two bottom options a little bit on the older side of things, Akers and Dobbins, still pretty young. Injuries have kind of flooded their career. I still love J.K. Dobbins, though. I still think that he is a viable option. And I know that the comments on the video that I did about J.K. were all, I don't want an injury-prone back. I don't want the guy who continues to get injured. And while I understand that, and the fear of that is definitely valid, you cannot doubt what this guy did at Ohio State. You cannot doubt what this guy has done in the time that he's been healthy in the NFL. I still feel like it's time to give him the shot. Again, 2020, when he played his first year, 15 games played, 800-plus yards, 9 touchdowns in that first full season, and then tore his ACL. 2022, had the whole Achilles thing in the 2023. It's just hard to overlook the fact of the injury, but I almost question you. Just think about it. Because if he goes back to that form he was in his first year, man, that's a scary running back room of Isaiah Pacheco and J.K. Dobbins. I want you to get in the comments section of today's video, name a running back you would like the Chiefs to sign, because I still feel that's the most important position. So let me know down in the comments section who is the guy you would like to sign. Is it somebody I mentioned? Is it Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Jerick McKinnon? You want to re-sign them? Here's your time. Get down in the comments section. Let's go over to offensive tackles because, again, Donovan Smith is a free agent. I highly doubt they bring him back for the price that he is asking. And Wanya Morris is just going to be a second-year guy out of Oklahoma. Later round draft pick. Do they trust him? Well, they have other options. Mekhi Becton, Leno Jr., and David Bakhtiari. I think Bakhtiari is probably the most veteran-like option of the bunch. But, again, Wanya Morris is right now slated to be the starter. And so it's, do they like one of those three guys or other offensive tackle free agent more than Wanya Morris? Now, as of right now, he is set to replace Donovan Smith, and I don't know if I feel comfortable with that or if I would rather have a veteran presence. But I'll kind of give you some positives and minuses to this whole situation in just a moment. But before that, tell you about one of our amazing sponsors, because today's show is made possible by Prize Picks, and they've got specials for new and returning users alike for March Madness when you head over to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Football season may be over, but the action on the hardwood, well, it's just heating up. Whether it's March Madness or the fight for the NBA playoff seeding goes, there's no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments this time of year. Get in on the excitement with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, where you can turn your hoops knowledge into serious cash. And guess what? They've got some good deals right now. Caitlin Clark, yeah, she's going to score more than a half a point in Iowa's first tournament game in the women's March Madness bracket. But also, we've got some games tonight. The last four in are playing. And guess what? I've got mores on a couple of guys. You can go put these exact same picks in right now and get the special with Caitlin Clark. I'm telling you, she's going to get more than 1 point. I can almost promise you that. I'm going the more there. More's across the board. We all know more is better. Now, March Madness kicks off tonight with the first 4 games. You can pick more or less right now. Prize Picks as well, also giving you that free pick for Caitlin Clark's matchup on Saturday. So just like more than a half point for Clark, and pair it with another winner for 3x your money. Prize Picks is simple. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you watch the winnings roll in. So get started now, if you haven't already, at prizepicks.com/CLNS and get a first deposit match of $100. prizepicks.com/CLNS. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy, and that link will be in the comments and the description of this video. Let's talk Mekhi Becton, because he seems like the most likely option from a financial standpoint and from I guess, making sense. It's just kind of the way I look at this. Now, his PFF grade wasn't exactly the greatest in 2023 at 53.2. Allowed 12 sacks, which, again, wasn't great. 8 hits, 30 hurries, 18 penalties. And I know that you look at these stats and you think, Jace, why in the world do we even think about signing this guy? Because this is not what he has done in his career. It was an oddball kind of thing. The Jets were a horrible defensive line as a whole. And in my opinion, I feel like in some ways it also means a lot if your line beside you stinks. When you talk about the worst defensive line in all of the NFL, it's the New York Giants, who had just kind of some people who didn't really fit. Well, with Mekhi Becton, I think it was that same thing. I think he just didn't really fit with that line. Now, at the same time, free agent is not your only option for left tackle. You could also go get one in the draft. It's just about if you're willing to, I'm not going to say waste a draft pick, but put another draft pick into it, because you already got Wanya Morris, and if you trust him, that's great. But are you going to get another young guy, or are you going to try and get a vet presence in there to help grow Wanya over time to where he could be a true starting left tackle? I don't know. Now, I will say this. Lions help a lot because they got to protect Mahomes, but I hate to say it, we got to start thinking about it. If Mahomes goes down, who the heck are the Chiefs going to play? Because I don't trust Chris Oladokun just yet. Ian Book signed with the Chiefs literally just 2-3 months ago, and that's all they got. Blaine Gabbert's a free agent. They could obviously re-sign him. I'm not saying that's one, but the only other QBs on the roster, Chris Oladokun and Ian Book. I want to have a more of a backup QB that I can feel as though I'm somewhat safe. Like, I know Mahomes goes down. In some ways, you're probably throwing in the towel a little bit, but I got to be honest, with how good this team is around Mahomes now, I truly feel like if he goes down, it's not the end to everything. Like, Henny Madness back against the Jaguars, how can we get that today? 3 quarterbacks I'm looking at. One of them, funny enough, actually had interest in signing with the Chiefs a while back. Ryan Tannehill, who is the former Titans quarterback, he's one on the lower side of me. Tannehill has a lot of positives in his career, but I think his time is coming, I guess is the best way to say that. Trevor Siemian ended up playing a couple games with the Jets this past year. I feel like he could be a potential there. And then Carson Wentz. I say Carson Wentz here because he was the one who was talked about joining the Chiefs back all the way in October. Well, now they could actually sign him but potentially get him back. So that'd be an interesting kind of thing to actually happen. Now, I'm going to be honest here, and whether you like it or not, I think the Chiefs stand still. I think that they may just stand still and just wait. They could get a quarterback in the late rounds of the draft. Tului Tagovailoa is an intriguing option. Maybe they go Jordan Travis in the 5th round, given they have 2 picks. I don't really know. I honestly think they may just say, Chris Oladokun and Ian Book, you're up if Mahomes goes down, and they just hope Mahomes does not go down. All right, let's talk about L'Jarius Sneed, because obviously the saga with him continues, and I truly feel he will play on the franchise tag next year. That's my honest opinion from the reports I've heard and from the people that I have talked to. But I still feel, though, it's important to bolster up the cornerback room. And, well, I still think there's a couple of good cornerbacks left on the free agent market as we sit right now. Xavien Howard from Miami. Funny, he actually is a free agent. Guy was one of the best cornerbacks in the league a couple years ago. Tre'davious White, which would kind of be hilarious just because that was the pick that Mahomes was traded for. Stephon Gilmore in Dallas could also be an option as a potential add. But I do want to talk about Xavien Howard because he fits the bill in a lot of different facets with just the way he plays. And the cornerback style that Brett Veach likes, well, that's Xavien's way. 45 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 12 pass breakups, and 1 interception. Fun fact, though, I mean, these stats aren't great, but he actually had the same exact stats in 2022. You don't believe me? Well, guess what? We have exact proof. Now, in 2021, that's where he was kind of into his, I guess, average form, 50 tackles, 16 pass breakups, 5 interceptions, but then a 2020 year, he's going to go down in the history books. 10 interceptions, 20 pass breakups, 51 tackles. Xavien has a lot of stuff still left in the tank, if you ask me. The former Baylor Bear, who was one of the top cornerbacks in all of the National Football League for a couple years or so, now sits on his couch waiting for a call. I know they don't have a lot of money, but are the Chiefs done making free agency moves, or do you think there's still some to come? Let me know in the comment section down below. Type Y for yes if you think the Chiefs are done. You think no more is coming. At worst, they're re-signing a running back. That's what they're going to do, and they're going to call it good. If you think that they're not done, they're going to go out, they're going to get a J.K. Dobbins, they're going to get Xavien Howard, they're going to go get left tackle potentially. Well, type in for no. So let me know in the comment section if they're done. Type Y for yes. If they are not done, I'm going to go find somebody else. Type in for no. We appreciate you watching Chiefs Kingdom. Honestly, this channel is going really well right now, and that's all because of you. So if you have not yet already, hit that subscribe button. And hey, you made it all the way to the end of this video. you liked at least a little bit of this. So why not hit subscribe? If you don't like it, guess what? You can unsubscribe in a couple days. But for now, that's all we got. Chiefs Kingdom. Peace out.